I could actually make this disease, this infection, this spread in just a few months. Make it terrible for humans. Now that is the words from former CDC Director Redfield. Now this guy actually kind of pushed against the narrative. He ended up getting away from the whole thing, but that's why he's saying, I'm worried about the bird flu. Not because of its normal track of function. He's worried because it's so easy to manipulate. So easy to manipulate. Now this is just after a few weeks when China was doing the same thing. Just a few weeks ago, go back and look at it, of the gain of you know what, literally was talking just about this, how 5 amino acids could change it to where it can make it way more infectious to humans. How serious is the bird flu? Not because it's naturally occurring, but it could be one of the things that we see prior to the election. Let's jump into a few details on this, and also 2 or 3 more stories that shows they're gonna do all they can to maybe keep you at home for the next coming weeks, months, especially before November. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now.
Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here on this beautiful morning. It actually has stopped raining. The lake is up tremendously, but hey, we are blessed. No trees are down other than a few limbs, so we're good to go. Thank you for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Tell us it's your first time here, that you're new to the channel. We would love to hear that. Now, the point of our channel is to build wisdom, to seek guidance and understanding, so we will not be controlled in ways that we don't want to be, especially when we want freedoms and a common sense approach to raising our family. Now, that's what brings up this story. Now, it's not about beating the dead horse. We've been talking a good bit about this avian flu thing, and the reason we're talking about it is not because the typical trajectory of something that's occurring. It's not like, you know, chicken pox. It's not like, you know, the stomach virus, and it's kind of going to go work through the whole community. This is something that we see is completely manipulated. Bill Gates came out and said, well, I'm a little worried about it. And you know, if you remember, I predicted the last one, and I'm predicting that this could be bad this time too. Now that's a bold statement, so you take that for what it's worth. But I want to read a story I think that's just so impactful when it comes to really how we should look at this infection. Former CDC director sounds the alarm over bird flu experiments. He's saying that we need to leave it alone, meaning he sees what kind of problems scientific research causes these infections. He said, I could make this avian flu infectious within months. He says, I'm obviously most worried about the bird flu right now because it takes 5 amino acids changes for it to be effective in infecting humans. But this virus is already in 26 mammalian species, as you most recently saw cattle. But in this laboratory that they're doing research, like he's trying to warn of China, he's trying to warn of some of this gain of you know what, it's dangerous because what we're doing is we're just basically building the next pandemic. He said, I can make this highly infectious in humans within months, and this laboratory is doing the exact same thing. That's a real threat. That's a real biosecurity threat. That these university labs and these bio experiences and these bio experiments that they're doing, intentionally modifying viruses, I think the bird flu will be one of the biggest and greatest cause of the next pandemic. Now, he's not saying it's naturally occurring. So I want to bring him into it, because I want to say, you know what? He's not the Bill Gates. He's not the Fauci. He's literally saying, I can take this disease, I could take this infection, and I can make it highly dangerous for human beings. And if I can do it, that means they can do it. And that means if we keep on doing this modifying function, if you get what I'm saying, if we keep doing this, we are going to build this huge bioweapon. And basically, China's already done it. We're looking to do it, and we are now using it against our people, to be honest with you. Look at what 2020 did. Let's just think about that for a second. It didn't make everybody die. That's a good thing. Didn't make everybody sick. That's a good thing. What did it do though? It did cause some sickness, but it trained people to get something. It trained people to listen. Still to this day, there's people walking around my downtown with masks and gloves on, double mask with gloves on, driving around in their car like that. You don't believe it was a perfect predictive programming? You don't think that it changed a lot of people's mind? Still to this day, in the South, we tend to hug, we tend to shake hands. That's a typical thing in the South. Hey, how you doing? That's what we do. Now there's still a lot of people fist bump, elbow bump. They're scared to death of being, your germs getting on them. We have programmed ourselves to believe all this. So now we see a guy who is absolutely brilliant, who is saying these people are modifying this stuff and it will be the signs of the next great pandemic. Not because natural occurrence, because they're literally formulating it in a lab. I want you to listen to this. On Saturday, we wrote about the increasing threat of the highly pathogenic avian influenza virus and ethical dilemmas posed to this kind of research that they're doing, this modifying research. Now the news of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environmental Monitoring, 70 workers have come forward and said they are sick, and they have sparked concerns about the bird flu actually getting out of containment. 70 Colorado dairy farm workers are being monitored because of this. Now we talked about that the other day. Here's the thing. While scientists say that the bird flu has pandemic potential, they claim the risk in humans is very low. If you go back and you literally look in March and April of 2020, the exact same wording came out about the other one. That, yes, we see this all the time. A typical can of Lysol will kill it. It is very, very, very minimal to humans. It won't. It's just so easy to get it rid of. It's not a big deal. We heard that. I actually was in a class in February dealing with just community relations and how they were like, look, there's no fear in it. A doctor did a whole presentation on it that he said the can of Lysol pre-2020 said that it kills all kind of forms of the virus that was going on then. But we manipulated, we changed the thought pattern around it, and then hysteria broke out. The point of the video today is to warn you to say it could be very bad or it could not be very bad, but you're going to hear the same push on this thing. Do I want you to have a frantic? No. Do I want you to fear? No. Do I want you to panic? No. But I do want you to have a friendly respect to the fact of having preparedness and having the fact that you may not have to go to the store all the time to buy things because of the pandemonium that's going to be around it, the crap that you will have to deal with. Donald Trump came out yesterday and said, we will not comply. They are trying to formulate this to be the next lockdown measures. He is even saying that. Now remember, this man is still getting briefings. And like most bigger players in our government are still getting briefings. A lot of the former presidents get briefings. So why would he all of a sudden just make a little video about the fact that he believes that they're going to make this the next 2020 and that we will not comply? Now, I'm glad he said that. Now, the thing is this. Have a friendly respect, but also understand you need to do your own research. The problem is, if it's not naturally occurring, which in our world, we have natural occurring sicknesses. But if we see something that is manipulated and not natural occurring, that means man made it. Man made it for a reason. Is it for bio threats? Is it for chemical weapons? Or is it for just completely and utterly to control a nation, to take away their freedoms? We've seen that happen in Australia. We've seen that happen in Canada. We saw big measures here and in Western Europe. But this is serious because it's not about the bird flu. It's the fact that, just like Mr. Redford said here, Dr. Redford said, is they are literally modifying it. They're working day in and day out to modify this thing. And he said, I know, I'm not even on the research, and I know with 5 amino acids, I could change it and I can make it highly effective in humans. If I can do that, the scientist that's sitting right in front of that lab can easily do it. And what's to say it's not going to just outbreak and bam, another 2020 ensues. Dr. Peter, a cardiologist that got banned so much a few years back, it says, it's notable that Redfield made these statements just a couple of weeks after courageous discourse we warned about that USDA in China was doing the gain of work on the H5N1 bird flu since 2021. This story just came out that the USDA in China was working on gain of this H5N1 bird flu. All of a sudden, it's starting to spread. We're all of a sudden getting people of power saying it's easy to modify and easy to make infectious. If they keep doing this, it will spread and you will see a global pandemic again. That is serious. Guys, let me know what you think. And my audience feels a lot like me, so I know you're going to say, well, I don't believe it. That's okay. But what did I tell you a few days ago when we talked about this on the outbreak with the dairy farms? If we don't prepare, then it will affect you because you will still have to buy food. If all of a sudden your grocery or your gas station says you can't get but this amount because of supply chain, or your government says, well, we're not going to honor this because you hadn't gotten this shot. There was people that died because they couldn't get a kidney transplant because they wouldn't get this in the arm. We're going to be manipulated. The thing is are you prepared to face that when it comes? Are you prepared enough to take on those battles? Do you have the stock do you need? Do you have the cash on hand do you need? Do you have the assets on hand do you need? Do you have the stockpile of goods that you need? Because when you see Donald Trump saying he's not going to comply, but he hears that it's coming, when you hear Redfield who is saying, look, I can make this happen, so I know they can, and that I see it happening, we've got to stop it, and all of a sudden you hear the reports from McCullough saying USDA and China has been working on this since 2021, and this report came out last week stating that they have built the new gain of you-know-what to where it can easily spread. And then lo and behold, it spreads. Texas, Colorado, several more states have already been infected. Pay attention. If I challenge you to do anything, go back to those stockpile videos in our playlist and start looking at some of the things that you need to purchase. We have videos going back to 22, 21, talking about these very things. Get in there and learn some of those details of what you can purchase, what you can have, what you can stockpile, so you and your family won't have to worry about it. That's what's important. And ultimately, I'd be remiss to say this. If we think that we can go through these tumultuous times with terrorism, with wars, with pandemics, with all that, without Jesus and without some kind of spiritual guidance, you'd be wrong. You're starting to see the biggest podcasters come around and say, I'm realizing more and more that we are a fallen nation and we need someone to save us, and it ain't someone who's running for president. Even though they're good people, even though there's great people in our leadership sometimes, there's bad ones too, but we have to rely back on God. And when we rely on God, we know we can face it. And it gives us wisdom to say, you know what, that may be smart to prepare. It's like me. Am I worried per se about the bird flu? No. But I'm worried about the hysteria around it. So therefore, I'm going to make sure I have my stockpiles taken care of. I'm going to make sure my birds are taken care of. I'm going to make sure my food source is taken care of. I'm going to make sure my cows are taken care of. Not because I believe in it, you're going to see me with 5 masks on. The fact is, if they can manipulate different parts of the world, they will impact you because of the supply chain, which ultimately will affect you. So therefore, my goal is, I'm going to nip that in the bud right now. And I'm going to try to take care of that situation before it even starts for my family. That way, the panic doesn't set in. It just means we live as a family, keep doing what we're doing, gain wisdom, and seek Christ. Guys, let me know what you think. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.